Next, I'm going to create the customer service interface. In this interface, I'm going to define all the methods that controller is going to call in the customer service. So the first method is create customer, which returns a object of customer DTO, and it takes a parameter of customer DTO type. Let me import the customer DTO. And the next method is get all customers. This method returns a list of customer DTO objects and it does not take any parameters. Third method is get customer by ID method. This method needs a parameter of customer ID and it will return an object of customer DTO. Next, we need to define the update customer method, which takes two parameters. The first parameter is a customer DTO object, and the second parameter is of type long, which is customer ID. And the return type of this method is an object of customer DTO. Finally, the delete customer method. This method does not return anything, and it takes one parameter, which is of type long, and the parameter name is customer ID. Next step is creating the customer service IMPL class. First, I'm going to create a package inside the service package, and then inside that IMPL package, I'm going to create the customer service IMPL class, which implements the customer service interface. We need to annotate this class with @service annotation, and let's implement the customer service interface. And we can simply click the implement methods link and it will automatically implement the methods. And here we need to use a mapper, a third-party mapper called model mapper I'm going to use in this case, because we cannot save a customer DTO object directly into the repository. So because of that, we need a mapper. So I'm going to get the dependency for model mapper. Let's search in Google and let's get the latest version from the MVN repository. And I'm going to add this dependency to my pom.xml file. Once the dependency is added to the pom.xml, we can click the load Maven changes so that it will load the changes into our project. Next, we need to go to the customer service application class, and here we have to define a method which returns a bean of type model mapper. I'm going to create public and return type is model mapper, and the method name is also model mapper. And inside the method, we need to return a new model mapper instance. And we can annotate this method with @bean annotation. Now inside the customer service IMPL class, we can inject the model mapper. Before that, let me first add the Lombok annotations. We will only need the @allargs constructor. So I will remove the noargs constructor, and I'm going to first inject the dependencies to the customer service IMPL class. Let's inject the model mapper dependency first. Then I'm going to inject the customer repository as well. Now we can use these dependencies in our methods. So first thing is we need to convert the customer DTO object into a customer object. To do that, I can use the map method of the model mapper, and I can pass the customer DTO object as the first parameter, and the second parameter I can pass the type of class to which we need to convert our customer DTO object. So in this case, it's the customer class. After converting the customer DTO to a customer object, then we can call the save method of customer repository and pass the customer object to persist the customer into the database. So after that, we can get the saved customer back into this saved customer variable. And as the final step, we can again use the map method of model mapper to convert the saved customer to a customer DTO object, and then we can return it. So our create customer method is complete. Now let's go ahead and implement the get all customers method. Here we can call the find all method of customer repository, and that will return a list of customer objects. But we need to convert that list of customer objects to a list of customer DTO object. To do that, I'm going to call the stream and then the map method. And inside the map method, I'm going to use the functional interface to convert every customer object into a customer DTO object using the map method of model mapper. And after that, we can use the collect method to convert it into a list. Next method is get customer by ID method. Here we can call the find by ID method of customer repository by passing the customer ID as the argument, and it will return an optional of customer. So if it does not return a valid customer object, we can return a exception. So to do that, I'm going to use the or else throw, and inside or else throw, I'm going to return a new resource not found exception object. So this is not yet created in our class. I will create that in shortly. To the constructor of this resource not found exception, we can pass a message indicating the customer with this ID does not exist in database. If it returns a valid customer object, we can assign it, and let me first go and create the resource not found exception, and we need to create another package called exception. And in this exception package, I'm going to create the resource not found exception class, and this class extends the runtime exception. The constructor of this resource not found exception is taking a string message, and inside the constructor we can call the superclass constructor by passing the message. Now in the customer service IMPL class, we can import that class, and we can pass a message like customer with ID, this ID that we got in our customer ID get customer ID method, and it does not exist. And if it returns a valid customer object, we can assign it into a found customer reference variable. So as the final step, we can again use the model mapper object and its map method to convert the found customer to a customer DTO object, and then we can return it. In the update customer method, first step we have to call the find by ID method again, find by ID method of customer repository, by passing customer ID to first check whether is there a customer exist in database with this customer ID, and if it does not exist, then we can again return a resource not found exception as before with the appropriate message like this. And if there is a customer with that customer ID, we can assign that into a reference variable of type customer. Then we can update the fields of this found customer object using the setters one by one, and the value that we need to update these fields is the values from the customer DTO object. So we can set first name, last name, address, email, password. All those values we can set from the corresponding values of the customer DTO objects that was being passed to this method. Like this, we can simply call the getter methods of the customer DTO object to get the values from the customer DTO. After updating those values, we have to call the save method of the customer repository, and we need to pass the found customer into the save method. And it will then return a customer object again. So I'm going to take it into update customer reference variable. Then using the map method of model mapper, I can convert that updated customer to a customer DTO object, and we can then return it. The last method is delete customer method. Here also we have to first call the find by ID method of the customer repository by passing the customer ID as the argument, and if it does not find any valid customer, we can return the resource not found exception just like before with the appropriate message. And in the next line, we can call the so I don't think we need to take this value to a customer object because we are not going to use it in our method. So we can just call the find by ID, and we don't need to take the updated we don't need to take the found value into a variable. So after that, in the next line, we can simply call the delete by ID method by passing the same customer ID. So after that, we don't need to return anything because this is of type void.